favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We're back in open session. Thanks for waiting for us. I apologize for being 4.5 minutes late. Let's go ahead and get started with the June 30th, 2014 St. Charles County Council meeting. We begin all of our meetings with an invocation. Tonight we have Pastor Lauren Wetzel from United Methodist Church of the Shepherd here. If everybody please rise.
Let us pray. Most merciful God, we come before you humbly tonight. Lord, we ask your guidance on this council. We ask your guidance for discussion tonight, Lord, and for decisions that would be made. Lord God, we ask a blessing on the citizens of this county and on the businesses who call it home. Lord God, we ask your guidance and direction that we might become closer and follow your direction to love one another. And so, Lord, we come humbly before you tonight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Cronin, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you for doing that for us tonight. We certainly appreciate it. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Brazel.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here.
Hey, we're at the point of the meeting now where we accept public comments. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. Once a subject has been opened, once that subject matter has begun, we'll alternate going back and forth on that particular subject matter until 3 people in favor and 3 people opposed to it have spoken, or until we're out of speakers, whichever one comes first. So is there anyone that would like to address the council on a council-related issue? Mr. Zaire?
Good evening. I'm Rod Zaire, 15 Joan Drive in St. Peters, Missouri, 63376. I just want to speak in favor of the Sheriff Preservation Initiative. As most of you know, this has been an ongoing thing for over a year now. There have been many citizens of all party affiliations going out getting signatures to try to get this initiative on the ballot in November. And so far it's been fairly successful. If we could say it's a certain thing, I can't say that. But I just wanted to bring to the council's attention that there is an opportunity to bring this up through the council if you so choose to do so. And I think it would be a very good thing to do because we know there were some shortcomings with the first election. First of all, it passed by a very thin margin of about 0.7%, which is really very small. Second of all, I think there were some questionable things in the ballot language, and speaking to many citizens in this community, a lot of them feel that they were misled by the ballot language, did not realize that they were losing their opportunity to vote for their chief law enforcement officer, and kind of dissatisfied that at the same time that the county executive will be appointing their chief law enforcement officer. So anyway, I'd just like the council to give that consideration if possible, and so we can move on and keep things the way they are. I think our Sheriff's Department has worked very well for over 100 years in this county, and I don't see a need for a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mr. Zaire has brought up the issue of the sheriff becoming a full-time appointed position and a ballot initiative on that. Is there anyone to speak on opposed to that idea? Seeing none, is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the idea? Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm Gary Feller, 3932 Jack Moore Court, St. Peters, Missouri, 63376. I'm co-chair of the Committee to Restore America with about 5 of my fellow group members. We've been out collecting petitions in favor of getting this ballot initiative back, the petition back on the ballot for November. In about 4 days' time, we've collected over 1,000 signatures, just the 7 of us. Personally, I can say about 75% of the people that I've talked to are very much in favor of this. They've signed the petition. A number of them feel like they were maybe misled by the ballot initiative that was submitted in 2012. So they would like to see this back to have an opportunity to vote again. We know what happened at the Bundy Ranch in Nevada, where federal agents overstepped their boundaries. And we think that could never happen here. But it has happened in Missouri and right here in St. Charles County. I've got a friend who tried to put up a building in St. Peters when the State Department of Natural Resources came on his property without permission, accused him of having toxic chemicals on his property. He had them independently tested, independent lab, who proved that they were not toxic. The Department of Natural Resources filed a lawsuit against him anyway. The judge threw it out, and the Department of Natural Resources filed an appeal. My friend has spent over 4 years and over $300,000 in legal fees trying to fight the State Department of Natural Resources. That's not right. We know that the county sheriff, as it presently is enforced, has the constitutional authority and legal responsibility to protect all citizens against illegal and unconstitutional actions of our state government and federal agencies. You gentlemen have the option, you have the power to place this back on the ballot so that people can decide. Give them enough time to review it, make a decision how they want to proceed. And of course, we as the citizens also have the power to vote you out of office if you do not perform. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this particular subject? Yes, sir.
I'm Ray Vance of St. Peters, Missouri. Today, Amendment 1 of our Constitution of the United States of America was thrown back into the dark ages by the appointees of George W. Bush. It is my belief that the judges he appointed was payback to the religious right for helping him to get elected. Amendment 1 protects the rights of our individuals to practice the religion of our choice, and at the same time protect anyone from forcing their religion on anyone else. Our women's right to choose was taken away from them today by the Supreme Court and given to corporations. I don't want to give up my right to vote for my chief law enforcement officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've heard 3 people in opposition to it. Is there anybody else that would like to share something that hasn't been already brought up tonight? We'll open it. Mr. Dienoff? Yes, we are.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council, A.C. Dienoff, County Resident, and County Public Advocate. Last meeting, we unfortunately had a couple stumble blocks in reference to speaking and the openness of freedom of speech. I was accused by one council member or 2 of not speaking the facts or bringing information to the table. Every time I speak, I do my research, I do my homework, I ask the appropriate questions of staff, and I come and present accurate and correct information, so help me God, to this county council. I'm not a liar, and I do not make up information or erroneous facts for any reason, either political or other. I'm a big proponent of transparency in county government and our county administration from the county executive on down, and that includes our county election authority. As I said at the last meeting, I will fight, I will fight, I will fight, and I will fight for the rest of my years on this great earth for open, fair, transparent, and honest elections for all of our 400,000 county residents. Our county residents deserve the best and fair, impartial elections in our nation. Our 252,000 registered voters deserve to have the confidence knowing that when they go to the ballot box that their vote will be accurately counted and fairly counted by any employee or any public official of our county. I will be a public advocate from here on out and will stand up for what is right, not only at our election authority, but throughout all of county government. I will not stand idle and be quiet while malfeasance in the election authority or county government go on and continue to go on and on and on, which are represented by several employees filing lawsuits currently in our circuit court system. An employee of the election authority was admonished, scolded, and written up for merely speaking to me when I signed up for public office on February the 25th. All she said was, "Hello." That employee was fired last Wednesday. This will mark another lawsuit, and I believe the 10th lawsuit of an employee in the election authority that is suing for employment discrimination and age discrimination. This makes a very long list of election employees who are suing the current election authority director, Mr. Krismer. The county is on the line to lose over $30 million of taxpayer money if they're successful before the juries of our circuit court. Where is the administration? Where is the county executive? Where is the county counselor? Where is the director of human resources? When are we going to use our constitutional charter amendment that was passed by voters over almost 2 years ago? And where are the 3 members of our county merit commission? Why is this continued to happen on a day-to-day basis? Nobody wants to step in. I filed a lawsuit for election irregularities.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. If you could, 3 minutes are up.
Okay. I will continue my speech in the next meeting, but this cannot be allowed to happen. There are a lot of malfeasance, and there are a lot of things that are being done by employees. It
Thank
just
you.
continues,
Appreciate
and it
your
needs
comments.
to be. Thank you.
Mr. Dinoff has brought up the subject of the director of the county of the election authority. Anybody else that would like to speak on that particular subject? The floor is open for other subjects then. Anybody else that would like to approach? Yes.
My name is Bob Mueller. I reside at 2220 Circle Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri, 63368. I want to talk about the trailer that's illegally at 2392 Circle Drive. The trailer was there before, sit empty for 7.5 years before Ronald Henderford purchased it. And ever since he's purchased it, he does whatever he wants, and then he wants to come and have the variances changed. The number one thing he did on his application was he's supposed to sign off on each and every item on there. On the most important one, I think it's the third or fourth one down, was the variance behind the trailer in the creek. He is right on the edge of the creek right now, and there should be a 25 to 50 foot barrier, and it states right on that application that he put NA on, non-applicable. That's the most important thing on the whole application he filled out. And so you can check that out. I forgot to bring it with me, or didn't bring it with me. But he's dumped all kinds of construction material in the creek. It's not bank stabilization. It's just filled in behind the trail. He's got at least 25 foot of construction material he brought in off other construction jobs to help give him some land behind his trailer. If he removed all that, and I'm requesting that he does remove that, because we need to have that natural waterway opening. It's a Clear Water Act of the U.S. federal government. And why he hasn't been summoned or put in jail, I don't know. But, I mean, you can't just push construction material in a creek. That's taboo. And so I didn't want to have his variances denied that he's asking for. He's asking for 5, and there's no reason for anybody to ask for 5. He should have had this land surveyed prior to doing anything with that property like there is all these other people that come before you. They get their variances okayed by you people and whatever authority there is in the county before you go ahead and do anything. He just does it. Then he wants you to adjust to his means, and that's taboo. And I want to thank you and I wish you deny all of his variances. And I've got other fellows here that want to like to speak too, and a lady too.
Thank you. The subject of the trailer on Circle Drive has been opened, and the point that Mr. Mueller made was to deny the variances. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the trailer and support of why the variances should be granted?
Ron Henneforth, 2392 Circle Drive. At our last meeting, I handed everybody a timeline of the events. I reached out for questions. I didn't receive any. I just wondered if anybody has any questions on the information that I provided at the last meeting. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we trying to run me out of town, me and my family off of this property? Is that the goal here? I was issued a permit. The Craigslist ad that I purchased the property on for $13,000. The email right here that I say, hey, Jan, just wanted to point out the structures you see are a carport, an awning, 2 sheds that bump out, smaller rectangle. It's done real nice. I can go measure and take pictures. This was this is the photo that I circled of this particular trailer right here and sent to her back in August 29th of 2012. She gave me the okay. 2 days later, I have a bill of sale for that particular home. That home is a 1680 with a slide. Okay, even bigger than the one that is there now. The details of moving that home were such that it was just better that I resold the home and I went out and I bought a different, smaller home that fit the same guidelines. We had approval. I paid my demolition permit. I paid the permit fees to move the new trailer on, and the application states very specifically changing a single-wide home for a single-wide home.
Mr. Henneforth?
Yes.
I was just informed that the 3 minutes have expired, even though the
Okay.
chime didn't ring.
Now
So
my
if you
yeah.
could wrap it up, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Now I've accused the over-aggressive behavior and tactics of Art Genasi, which Mr. Brazel had concluded that he has had other complaints from other citizens of this county based on the bulldog tactics of the Preservation Department.
Okay, your 3 minutes have expired.
Okay. Has anybody bothered to look at what the people
Sir.
accusing me
Sir.
are doing?
Your 3 minutes have expired.
All
That
right.
means it's time to go sit down.
Well, when the Corps of Engineers...
Sir, your 3 minutes have expired.
Is that it?
Please go sit down. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak about the trailer on Circle Drive, and we're back to the opposition side? Yes. Hold on, before you get started, is the timer working again now? Thank you.
We're ready. Okay. I'm Mike Vogel. I live at 2211 Circle Drive. And this property that's in question, the variances as man's requested, I'm requesting that you deny all of them and the property be put back in a state of condition compliance with the ordinance of the county. That's why we've got county ordinances. It's not you just do what you want and then say, oh, now you got to give me a variance. That's what's happened here. He did the stuff, brought stuff in. Then when they came and inspected it, so you can't do that. And, oh, well, you'll have to give me a variance because I got it. And I just don't agree with that. when I built my home, I complied with all the county regulations, you know, and I had all the inspections. I had everything done in the proper manner, and I think that's what should happen here is these variances be denied. He does, you know, he didn't do it properly. He doesn't have the property, enough property there to accommodate what he's wanting to put there, and it should be removed. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anybody that would like to speak about in favor of the variances for the trailer?
My name's Kathy Dodson. I live at 2392 Circle Drive. And I have a huge problem with what's going on. We were given a permit. We were told where to put that trailer, and that's exactly what we did. The idea that we're being accused of coming into this county and doing anything without permission outside of the carport, which was the only thing we asked for a variance on, because we were told by your people that this was a grandfathered property. When is the county going to take accountability for not doing their own due diligence and finding out whether that was a permittable property or not? That's not my job. That's your job. It is upsetting to me. Yes, we're angry because you are putting myself, my 2 children, and my husband out of our home is what you're talking about. I want you to be fully aware that that's what you're doing. We have come to be in compliant, not to go against what you want. And to have neighbors come in and flat out lie when they know that that stuff was dumped in that creek. You have pictures of it that he took in 2004 before we ever knew about the property of those same dumping in that creek. That was not us. We cannot be held accountable for what someone else did to a piece of property 15, 20, 30 years ago before we were there. And yes, it is horrific to me that a county will not own up to their part of the responsibility in any error was made, and I am upset greatly that you would turn and try to blame the man who has upgraded a piece of property from a derelict piece of property by their own words into a usable, nice, well-kept, well-maintained property that was built in your specifications and put where you wanted it. So if you told us where to put it and it's now in a 25-foot buffer zone, it's there because it was grandfathered. That was your words to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this issue in opposition to the variances? Yes.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lola Brand. I live at 2508 Oak Drive, and I do thank the councilman who did make a trip out and go with Mr. Mueller and take a look at this property. And maybe some of that dumping was done when you guys weren't there, but there was dumping done since that lot's been bought by them. And I think Mr. Mueller's pictures can verify that. My problem is that Mr. Henry IV got up here last month and said that he's been doing this for 20 years. I would think in 20 years of being a construction person, somebody who does improvement of land property would know how to fill out a building permit. And for him to say that it's not applicable for the waterway is totally inappropriate. At the variance meeting, Darren May, I think is his name, said that there was, what's the name of it? There was no grandfather clause, and that this man perjured himself on that permit form. So I just would like to take that into consideration and would ask that the variances be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. We've heard 3 people speak about in opposition to the granting the variances. Is there anybody else? And we've heard 2 people speak in favor of it. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the variances?
Can I respond to the accusation?
No, you've already had your opportunity to speak on this issue.
Oh, so I can't.
Our council rules that each person gets 3 minutes to speak. Seeing nobody else that wants to speak on this particular issue, we'll move on to the next subject. Is there anybody else that would like to talk about county-related issues? Mr. Dinoff, you've had your 3 minutes. Just a moment. One moment, please. I'll ask the council, do we want to allow speakers to approach more than once during one particular meeting?
Mr. Chairman, this may help, and also your potential speaker is, we've asked to keep it on the table for tonight, so if the speaker intends to be at the next meeting, he would have an opportunity to speak to it then as well.
Okay. It is going to be tabled tonight.
It's going to be tabled, so you can do it next meeting.
Just one moment. We need to make a decision on coming up more than once. I've looked at the rules, and it doesn't really cover this particular issue. I'm looking at you guys. Some of the senior members have been here longer.
Let them talk. I mean,
opinion from Mr. Ellis.
It's a different subject.
All right, Mr. Dinoff, come on up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council, Director of Administration. On the agenda tonight, and I guess the director said that it will be tabled, but there's a $142,375 bid for masonry maintenance and repairs on this building, the County Executive Building, for tuck pointing by Western Waterproof Company. Also, I want to bring to your attention Bill number 4109, which will take off $100,000, which is a intergovernmental acceptance of an intergovernmental grant from the Department of Natural Resources that will help pay for tuck pointing to this building. But I've seen it a couple times, and I really don't know the history. I'm sure Mr. Ellman could probably provide some history about it. But when you come to the western steps of the Executive Office Building, if you look right to your right, there's a statue with numerous names on at least 3 sides, maybe 4 sides that I've seen. And it's getting to the point where it's being weathered, and the names you really can't clearly read. And so I don't know what the history on that is. I don't know what those names mean. I don't know what the monument or statue means. I believe there's like a child on top. But I would like the County Council and the Director of Administration to take it in consideration. Evidently, probably a long time ago, it meant something to somebody. And it means history to our county, and I'd hate something to continue to deteriorate and be weathered. I was wondering with this tuck pointing contract, if we can ask the contractor if he would add without any cost to renovate that statue so it's serves the county and generations to come. And I also would ask that the County Council look into putting a plaque or some type of information stating exactly what that means, what that statue means, and who those names are on the statue. Because evidently somebody spent a lot of money way back in the heyday, and I think it's very important that we preserve our history and something that it doesn't get weathered, that we're not going to be able to remember their names. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we will close the public comment part of the agenda, and we'll move forward to the oral report from the county executive.
Mr. Chairman, I had not intended to make a report this evening, but I'll make a short one. The statue in question was erected after World War I, and the names are the men from St. Charles County who died in World War I.
Okay.
That's all I have to report.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Next, we have the consent agenda. Is there items that people would like to remove from the consent agenda first?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to remove the Office of Public Information bid.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made to remove the item for the Office of Public Administration. It's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Okay, we'll talk about that one separately. Any of the other ones that people would like to talk about separately? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the balance of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We'll move back to the item for that Mr. Cronin pulled up.
Okay.
Joe?
At the risk of Jack making me fuzzy and cutting off the audio here, I just happened to notice a discrepancy when I was reading the packet. The actual ordinance is for $99,183. but the actual amount should be $101,008 with a $3,000 promotion that Jack secured. So the net amount the county should pay would be $98,008. So the actual ordinance is for $1,075 more than the bid documents show. And I caught that last night about 2 a.m., so I thought I would point it out to y'all. We might save the county $1,000.
Sure. Okay. So you are making a motion to amend that to 98?
Well, if you want to look at it, it's page 84 is where the 99,183 is in the packet, and page 96 is where it shows it for 98,008. So I think 98,008 is the correct amount.
And I trust your math. So unless Jennifer gives me a panicked look, then you just need a second to amend that amount.
Second. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. I can't repeat the exact dollar amount that you had again, but I'm sure that it's been recorded.
$98,008.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor of changing the dollar amounts that Mr. Cronin has saved the county $1,000, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Good job, Mr. Cronin. That was a very large packet last night, and I applaud your efforts on being so diligent in finding that one.
Motion to approve the balance of the agenda, right?
We've already done that.
Oh, this part though, we got to vote on.
Now we need to. We've amended it. Now we need to approve that particular item.
Correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
Motion to approve amended item.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Okay. Next we have bills for final passage. The first one on the list is.
No, there's a.
What about the emergency bill?
Emergency bill. I'm sorry, it was the bottom of the page. Emergency bill number 4110.
Emergency Bill Number 4110, requested by Steve Ellman, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An emergency ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to the sub-award agreement with East West Gateway Council of Governments to increase the amount of the sub-award for video downlink equipment from $203,000 to $207,210.25.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote.
An emergency ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to the sub-award agreement with East West Gateway Council of Governments to increase the amount of the sub-award for video downlink equipment from $203,000 to $207,210.25. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, now we have bills for final passage. First one is bill number 4095.
Bill number 4095, an ordinance reversing the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 22071.
I'm sorry, we got a substitute bill on 4095?
Not to my knowledge.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept bill number 4095 in its substitution. There we go. We flipped it around. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Okay, so we've.
The only thing is
what is it?
What is it?
We shouldn't have any discussion.
I don't know what this says either.
We don't even have it.
Your name's on it.
No, a couple clarifications. I didn't. This got my name on it, but I've never seen it. So we got to. If the council wants to do this, they should have all their names on it, which is technical or a minor issue. But Joanne or Harold or somebody want to help us out here?
How do I read it?
The substitute bill before you is designed to assert jurisdiction over all the variances that are requested to cure the violations and to then sustain the decision of the board in rejecting the application for the variances that it rejected, and further to reverse the board by rejecting the variances that the board had approved. In other words, the substitute before you is designed to deny all variances that are
Not only the three that we talked about last time, but all that were granted at that particular P&Z meeting.
Right. You're reversing the grant of the variances by the board, and you're also denying the appeal to grant the other ones that it didn't.
Okay. Harold or Wayne, is it going to be Wayne or Robert? All right, could you come up here, please, Robert? I want to we go through this whole thing so we completely understand it. Now, when Mr. Henneford came up here and talked, they were talking about having the trailer removed, but the first ordinance was, we were just dealing with the deck, the fence, and the creek, correct? I mean, yes. The variances, those were the three.
Right. The variances that were approved by the Board of Zoning Adjustment both concern the mobile home itself.
Okay, so let me just make sure I completely understand this. The permit that was issued was for just the trailer. Had nothing to do with the deck, had nothing to do with the fence, had nothing to do with the creek setback, because that had an NA on it. And the county is assuming that when someone fills out a building application or a placement application that person is filling it out truthfully. So we wouldn't have known if it was on a creek or not because they put NA on there. But my question to you is what was the size of the trailer that was permitted? Do you know that information? Do you have that with you?
To the best of our abilities, the original trailer was 60 feet long. And so my understanding was speaking with the land use manager who processed the permit that it was to be strictly like for like, that any replacement mobile home be again like for like. In other words, the same size, same length, same location.
Robert, what was the dimensions? Do you know what it was on there? Is it like for like, or is it replaced like existing? Is it 60 by 14?
It's
This is not the time for audience participation. Thank you.
Well, on the permit application itself, it says see site plan, same as existing.
What does it say? I'm sorry.
It says see site plan, same as existing.
Same as existing. What was existing?
The best we can tell with aerial photographs and information based at the assessor's office was that it was 14 by 60. Now on the demolition permit application, it lists 14 by 70.
Okay, so was there an addition? Was there a bump out on the trailer that was permitted?
On the replacement trailer?
Yes.
Not to my knowledge. My knowledge, it was like for like. It was to be same size trailer, same location, same pad.
And the bump out's probably 10 by 14 or something like that, in addition to the 14 by 70.
Yeah, so, the bump out's approximately 6 feet deep.
Was there a building permit issued on that addition? Was it an add-on or what?
There was a deck constructed that was not part of the application. There was a carport installed, not part of the application. There was a small shed. I'm not sure if that needs a permit or not, but there's a small shed on the property. And there was also a fence that was constructed.
But I mean, all the stuff, Mr. Henford, when you came up here, you said everything was done real nice. Was there permits built on the stuff that's requiring a variance? Was there any permits done on the deck, the shed, the room addition? Were there any permits pulled on that?
No.
Did we have the building department look at any of this stuff, or are we not even at that point? Joanne or Harold, do you want to? Is there not? Or we're not even there, but my point is I did go out and look at it, and this stuff wouldn't even come close. Ron, you know that it's not built to code at all. You're sitting on cinder blocks and everything else. That's the point. You knew it shouldn't have been there. I'm not going to go tit for tat with you guys out there. Ron, hold on. When we address you, we can come up here and keep to the format of the meeting. But there were no permits issued on all the extra structures added to the building, correct?
Correct.
And it sets right on the creek. And I got to tell you guys, I told Mr. Mueller, I thought, take the personalities out of it. Don't just, if you don't like the guy, forget about it. I'm not saying that it said that, but I'm just saying this is a neighbors fighting. I don't want to get involved. I just want to deal with the facts. And I told him that, and I told you that. And when I first went out there, I was thinking of a bunch of neighbors that were just upset about this guy putting a trailer in, that he did get a permit for a different size, but I went out there and this was a mess. I mean, everything was built not to permit. It was sitting on the center box, and I told you that, Ron. I said it looks like some hillbilly built it down in Arkansas. I told you that. But we had the conversation. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that stuff, none of that stuff was built right to begin with, and we're sitting here talking about giving it a variance. That's why. So I don't support this at all.
How big is the shed? I wasn't asking you. You know how big the shed is?
The information I have is 67 inches by 86 inches. So it's fairly small.
Currently under the building codes of St. Charles County, you don't even need a permit for a shed up to 120 square feet.
That's not even on the issue, though. That's a non-issue. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Is not
okay.
Not one of the variances. It's not one of the subjects. I guess I went back to the previous trailer was there. It had was abandoned for a number of years. Talk to us, if you would, Robert, about grandfathering. Is that the information I was given was that it was not used as a residence, as a habitable structure for a period of over 5 years. Wouldn't that have destroyed the grandfathering clause completely?
We didn't have any information at the time that the building had been abandoned. And I think that the person who processed the permit, knowing that mobile homes, you can't actually repair them. Basically, you have to replace them if you're going to upgrade them. So I think in her mind, she was thinking that this was essentially the replacement, if it was like for like and exactly like the last one, that it would be an upgrade and essentially a repair. I think that was the thinking at the time.
Okay, so that's part of the issue. The permit was granted for one size trailer, and what was put there was bigger. Is that
correct?
That's factual.
Yeah.
I'm going to break, if it's all right with everybody else. Do you want to address the issue of one issue? Was the trailer that was put there?
Come up here, though.
Yeah, come on up to the microphone if you would. The question that we're asking is the trailer that was constructed, is it bigger than what the permit says? You've been waving the permit around.
Yes, I have, and we do have plan review, right? I'm wondering why nobody ever, if we needed more details on this, why we didn't get them. The recording of that particular trailer was in two different areas, and they contradicted each other. One, yes, stated as a 1460. I have a notarized deed for that property as a 1480 because that's the way.
Does the permit that you have say how big of the permit?
The permit that I applied for says change out a single wide home for a single wide home.
And it does not reference size of that single wide home?
No, sir. And the addition, so-called addition, is a factory built with the home. I have the documentation to prove that. I have the pictures to prove that. And I had approval for that from the very beginning. From day one, I had approval from Rocky Morgan. The old trailer had an overhang that went out 8 foot. The tip out went out 6 feet. That's 2 feet less of an encroachment into that buffer zone. That's why I had the approval for that, specifically in the email that I spoke of earlier. We went over the details. I had the green light. I did this thing right. The deck that Joe speaks of, yes, it's on blocks in the front. It's bolted to 4x6s with lags, and each one of those has a hanger on the back side. And I have pictures to prove that. All you have to do is pull that first board. I had 30 people standing on that deck, and it doesn't move. Yes, the front of it, I'll give you that. The steps, there's about 3 hours worth of work that needs to bring into compliance. It's my understanding that normally the county will work with people to bring things up to compliance. It doesn't seem like I ever had the opportunity on this, just based on a lot of the issues that people have been called out. I've been violated.
Thank you if you've answered the question that we've asked you.
Okay.
Only we may have other questions. Mr. Cronin.
I've read everything I could on this, and there's definitely a lot of misrepresentation on the application for the mobile home. Also, I think it's real important in the staff report to planning and zoning, okay, it states right here that mobile home was approved by permit to replace a previous mobile home on the property. Staff notes that although no permit was found in the previous mobile home, the new mobile home is larger, okay? There was many misrepresentations made on the application for the replacement mobile home, and even we're hearing stuff like earlier he said he paid $13,000 on Craigslist, and the application it shows $7,500. So, and also I think that the neighbors are right in pointing out that he did put not applicable. He did not let county staff know that this mobile home was right next to a creek that floods real often. So there was a lot of misrepresentation on this. And the other thing I would like to clarify from Harold is there's several different substitute bills, but I want to make sure I'm clear about this. One I'm reading on here, it says we're affirming part and reversing part. Okay. Yes. Do we not want to reverse? Oh, I see. You're saying we would be affirming the part that they denied and reversing the part that they approved. Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. That's all I have.
So, Harold, is a no vote? I want to make sure.
Right. Go ahead.
A no vote is denying the variances, or is it a yes?
On the substitute.
If you adopt the substitute and vote yes on the substitute, you in effect affirm the BZA's denials of some of the variances that it denied, and you reverse the BZA's grant of the other variances.
A yes vote does that.
And a yes vote will basically reject all variances.
Right. A yes vote rejects all the variances. That's the important statement on that. Mr. Bamer.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to emphasize one thing that Robert went over a little quickly, and that is that the county records of the old trailer reflected a certain size. And keep in mind that in certain circumstances, mobile homes are taxed as personal property, and that's probably what happened back then. But the point is, they had the size of that old mobile home in the county records, and it was different than the size of the mobile home that was put in there.
The size that was in there.
Is that correct, Robert?
Yes. The assessor's records are 14 by 60.
Okay.
And 14 by 80. It's listed at 2 different ways.
The assessor's records are around 14 by 80.
All right, now. Okay. The part that I keep going back to on this isn't, it's a trailer that's in the wrong place to begin with. Right. It's too close to the creek. That, how it got there to begin with is, pure speculation for 1982. But I don't think that we should continue making that same. It was in the wrong place then. It's in the wrong place now. There's no reason for it to be there. I've been there. It certainly looks like recent fill has been put into the creek. It doesn't look like it was, when I was there, it was not completely grown over. If it had been there for 10, 20 years that was alleged, then I would suspect that it would have a lot of vegetation growing over it, and it does not.
Over 100 tires into that creek. He used to own a filling station, and they leave like breadcrumbs.
I'm not talking about. What we're talking about is what it is there now.
And what he's done is forced the water onto my property, and you can see that in the aerial photographs if you just look.
Okay.
They're all in there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You can see the tracks.
Council members, do we have any other questions, comments? Is everybody clear about what the effect of the substitute bill? Carol, if you could, I've missed my place. Did we accept the?
One thing I would like to do is add the sponsored by council as a whole.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. Did we accept the substitute bill?
Yes, you did.
Okay, we voted on that.
You voted on accepting the substitute, which we didn't really have in front of us at the time, but now I have it, so.
Okay.
That's Bill 4095.
Right,
The bill number has remained the same. It's just
Yes, and it
substitute
always will.
495. Mr. Brazel has suggested that we all add our names, or anybody that wants to, as sponsors of this particular piece of legislation. Would anybody else like to join Mr. Brazel as a sponsor? And I certainly will.
You can put my name on it.
Put my name on it.
I see affirmative from everybody on the council. Introduced by everybody, sponsored by everybody. Okay, any further discussion? Ready for a vote on this particular one?
Does it have to be read first?
It's going to be read
Yes,
again
it does.
in the substitute form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Substitute Bill number 4095, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by council as a whole. An ordinance affirming in part and reversing in part the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 22071.
Okay.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Yes. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Okay. Substitute bill passes. We'll move forward then to bill number 4096.
Bill number 4096, an ordinance amending sections 650.040 and 650.050 ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to licenses to keep a ferry.
Any questions or comments on this one?
Did you talk to the ferry guys?
Bob had told me he had spoke with them, and I think the ferry folks are good with this, right?
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
An ordinance amending sections 650.040 and 650.050 ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to licenses to keep a ferry. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Absent. Okay. Moving forward to 4097.
Bill number 4097, an ordinance amending sections 120.470.a and 120.670.a ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, revising annual reporting requirements for agencies funded by the Community Assistance Board and Domestic Violence Board, approving a form contract for the Community Assistance Board, and adopting a modified form contract for the Domestic Violence Board.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
An ordinance amending sections 120.470.a and 120.670.a ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, revising annual reporting requirements for agencies funded by the Community Assistance Board and Domestic Violence Board, approving a form contract for the Community Assistance Board, and adopting a modified form contract for the Domestic Violence Board. Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Yes. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Bill number 4098.
Bill number 4098, an ordinance implementing a schedule of rates and charges for aircraft parking at Smart Field.
Anybody have any questions, comments about this one?
I have a comment on this.
Yes.
As a tenant out there, there is a news email chain that I sent out an inquiry to the tenants out there because this was an increase in some fees. And essentially, everyone was pretty supportive of it. And I talked to Dennis Bampton this morning that runs St. Charles Flying Service. And the airport director spent the time to come talk to him to explain how the fees would be implemented. And he gave it a green light, too. So even though why it's increased the fees, everybody thinks it's fair. And it'll be, this thing will give the airport directors some flexibility to charge people where they need to be charged for that were not being charged in the past.
Okay. Good.
An ordinance implementing a schedule of rates and charges for aircraft parking at Smart Field. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes. Moving forward to Bill number 4099.
Bill number 4099, an ordinance enacting a new section 200.045 ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, establishing and providing for the collection of fees for processing of initial sex offender registration and changes to such registrations.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none.
An ordinance enacting a new section 200.045 ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, establishing and providing for the collection of fees for processing of initial sex offender registrations and changes to such registrations. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Yes. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Bill number 4100.
Bill number 4100, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of agreement between the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and St. Charles County for access to IPAWS/open by interoperable software systems.
Any questions, comments?
That just rolls off the tongue,
Yes,
doesn't
it does. That's. I'm glad she's reading it. Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of agreement between the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and St. Charles County for access to IPAWS/open by interoperable software systems. Councilmember White? Yes. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Bill number 4101.
Bill number 4101, an ordinance establishing the Radio Communications Policy Commission and further establishing a standing advisory committee of that commission to be known as the Technical Operations Committee, both for the purpose of making recommendations to the county executive related to the operation of the St. Charles County P25 land mobile radio microwave system for public safety and emergency communications.
Anybody have any comments, questions on this one?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I want to, first of all, thank all of you for approving on the consent agenda the appointment of Jeff Smith as our new director of Alarm and Dispatch. He's here in the audience along with his wife, Shannon. I think each of you had a chance to visit with him before the meeting. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for the approval and wish him all the best. I think he's going to fit right in with our team, and we're looking forward to having him, and he will be a member of this committee should you approve this bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen.
An ordinance establishing the Radio Communications Policy Commission and further establishing a standing advisory committee of that commission to be known as the Technical Operations Committee, both for the purpose of making recommendations to the county executive related to the operation of the St. Charles County P25 land mobile radio microwave system for public safety and emergency communications. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Bill number 4102.
Bill number 4102, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a business associate agreement between the County Dispatch and Alarm Department and the St. Charles County Ambulance District.
Any questions, comments on this one? Seeing none, if you'd call it.
An ordinance authorizing the execution of a business associate agreement between the County Dispatch and Alarm Department and the St. Charles County Ambulance District. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Bill number 4103.
Bill number 4103, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Missouri Department of Economic Development, Division of Workforce Development, and the St. Charles County Department of Workforce Development related to a grant for receipt of up to $21,600 for temporary assistance to needy families, TANF.
Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, if you would.
An ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Missouri Department of Economic Development, Division of Workforce Development, and the St. Charles County Department of Workforce Development related to a grant for receipt of up to $21,600 for temporary assistance to needy families, TANF. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Yes. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Okay, bill number 4104.
Bill number 4104, an ordinance establishing a working group for St. Charles County government in order to foster an employment-friendly environment for those who have served in the armed forces of the United States, further establishing an award of appreciation to recognize employers in the St. Charles County community who are working to develop their businesses as veteran-friendly places of employment, and directing the Finance Department to amend county bid documents to call on bidders to indicate whether they have developed veteran-friendly employment policies and to provide copies of them for information.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and read it again.
An ordinance establishing a working group for St. Charles County government in order to foster an employment-friendly environment for those who have served in the armed forces of the United States, further establishing an award of appreciation to recognize employers in St. Charles County community who are working to develop their businesses as veteran-friendly places of employment, and directing the Finance Department to amend county bid documents to call on bidders to indicate whether they have developed veteran-friendly employment policies and to provide copies of them for information. Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Bill number 4105.
Bill number 4105, an ordinance waiving liquor license fees for certain concession operations of the Parks and Recreation Department of the City of St. Charles for the period July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll read it again.
An ordinance waiving liquor license fees for certain concession operations of the Parks and Recreation Department of the City of St. Charles for the period July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes. Bill number 4106.
Bill number 4106, an ordinance amending Chapter 115 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to the basic pay plan for a position within the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment, and further amending the 2014 budget adopted by Ordinance 13-092.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none?
An
Read it
ordinance
again.
amending Chapter 115 of the ordinance of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to a basic pay plan for a position within the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment, and further amending the 2014 budget adopted by Ordinance 13-092. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of the bills for final passage. Next, we have the bills for introduction. First one's bill number 4107.
Bill number 4107, request by Julie Eckstein, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services to provide St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment with Missouri statewide wireless interoperable network capable radio and ancillary equipment.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll read the next one.
Bill number 4108, request by Tom Neer, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the United States Marine Corps, USMC, Recruiting Station St. Louis for access to and use of the St. Charles County Law Enforcement Training Obstacle Course.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, we'll go forward to 4109.
Bill number 4109, requested by Steve Elman, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for receipt of a grant of up to $100,000 for tuck pointing and masonry rehabilitation on the St. Charles County Courthouse, now known as the Executive Office Building or Historic Courthouse, and amending the 2014 budget adopted by Ordinance 13-092 relating to receipt of said funds.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move forward to tabled bills, and I understand there's no activity on that one. Next, we have announcements and miscellaneous. I'd like to remind everybody that there will be a 5:30 work session on the July 14th meeting to hear from the University Extension Services and also to discuss the AT district revisions. Any other announcements, Mr. Cronin?
Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Boehmer for his work securing the federal grant to take care of the roads in a lot of the small towns, of which one I live in. Thank you, Don. That was a lot of work for you, and those towns' budgets are really strained, so I appreciate your efforts. And those roads are well traveled by the residents of those towns and county residents, and I think your work was very good and very helpful to the county. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Don.
for reminding everybody of that,
Yep.
Joe. Any other announcements?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to recognize, if you didn't know, Don Holt is going to be retiring, at the end of next month?
August 6th.
On the 26th.
August 6th.
On the 6th.
August 6th. But what I'm told is 4103 is probably your last ordinance. And you haven't been up there quite as often in the last few years, but for a while there, you were one of our one of our regulars. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the county, to wish you the very best in your retirement. And I hope the council concurs in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly appreciate it. All right, and everybody have a good and safe 4th of July, and we'll see everyone on the 14th. Thank you very much.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Everybody in favor, go home. Aye.